He, you know, he's around my partner. And he was with us when I first started around after 3 years of he came back to us when I was about 10%.
Patrick?
Good to have you aboard. Amy, I've got a new mask. I'm going to suffocate. I can't breathe.
I'm having the same problem. This is new and
Just maybe it has. Is it like a new pair of jeans where you have to break it in first a little bit?
I
Or?
don't know, but I'm really having trouble breathing.
Somebody else.
Huh.
What's his name?
Maybe it's thicker than.
Fighting for fairness.
It might be. I don't know.
Bessler.
Well,
Those are two young ones.
Mary said, give me the other one I wear. She says, I need to wash that. Here's another one. So I'm wearing this one now. Can't breathe.
Yeah, Deb washed her mask last night.
I think like a lot of times, like I just leave mine in the car. That way, it's
Kind
kind of like
Yeah.
And that, plus, I mean, I only ever need it if I'm going someplace else. So it's like if I keep them in the car, then they're always there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's crazy.
Bouquet of flowers.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Ow. How's business? Business is good. Crime's up.
That is a nice. I've got two
Sit all
others.
the time.
I can't just throw them in the washing machine with other things.
Yeah.
What frequency is it supposed to be very?
Yeah, the first one,
I'm guessing.
we made the mistake of putting olive oil.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I would think that should be part of it.
And the elastic got bigger and the bottom got smaller. We learned our lesson.
That's good. Sure. Yep. Just sit up front. Yep. I got a whole list of questions to ask her, so. You're here, but this will go pretty quick.
Is it the right frequency?
We'll get to the closed
What's
session.
Bill say?
15 minutes. Yeah. Yeah. You're up first.
Hey, your case that got appealed, the civil service one, did you hear about that?
You know, where I was representing the various board. It got
It would have to be the same.
I know she just told me today that the
543.
court of Austin.
So,
What did she tell you?
so it, well, it got affirmed at the district level, and Romerman appealed it from there.
Maybe that's
One on the corner?
Yeah.
I knew that.
Have you been through it? Have you
Yeah.
driven
Yeah,
through it?
let's knock this out.
Or
Yeah.
even through the road like it's
Yeah, there's a couple of trailers just cut right
No,
down the
unless,
street.
unless.
Oh, yeah, they were on Channel 9 last night. You know, they do the city cams for different areas. Same kind of thing.
Welcome, everybody. Hiawatha regular council meeting, September 2nd, 2020. Roll call, please.
Jerry Mowinkle,
Here.
Amy Wickendall,
Here.
Dick Olson,
Here.
Steve Dotson,
Here.
Rob Archibald.
Approval of the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Citizens input. Do we have anybody from the audience that would like to address issues that are not on the agenda? Please come on up to the podium. Is there anybody? Yeah. Okay, then we'll close citizens input at members.
I'd like to commend our city staff, all of them, for the great job and cleanup after the derecho. I know they made a couple of passes already through the city, and I think after talking to Rod earlier today that I'm going to make a third pass in probably a couple of weeks or so, and then they'll work on the debris pickup. But they did an awesome job, and I have friends in Cedar Rapids who have come up and visited and saw how quickly our streets were cleared, and they couldn't believe it. So kudos to our city staff and everybody involved, from from the office all the way to the street department and everybody, all the public works and everything.
And
Amen.
kudos to Kim. She answered the phone every time I called, which was amazing.
Yeah, echo what Steve and everybody else said, and also thank our surrounding cities that came to help, Walker, Center Point,
Dyersville, yeah.
Dyersville, and there's others. And then also the library, I saw an email today that they're getting ready to move from the old part into the new part, which is very, very exciting, to begin the remodel of the old part. So very exciting. It's been a little bit delayed, not quite as fast as we want, but it's moving right along.
I want to echo that with the idea of thanking the citizens. I mean, I just hear so many stories about neighbors going over and helping neighbors before they even got their stuff done. And it's very impressive when we hear that from our citizens. It just makes me glow. So, all right, Kim.
Certainly adding on to everything that you are saying, I have to tell you, we have some very endurant, hardworking individuals that care about our community, and I get to see that, and we are so thankful for the emails and the phone calls and the little notes in the mail just saying thank you, and it's very appreciative. And sometimes we get we can have 80 thank yous, you're doing an awesome job, and we can have one bad comment, and we focus on the bad comment instead of all the other 80 thank yous that we got. So I just want to remind everybody that these our employees, our team, including you, when we call upon you, you've been there to help knock on doors and do those things that we need to do to make sure that our residents know that we care. No matter how mad they are at us, they do know that we care. And so I never want anyone to ever lose sight of that. This first couple weeks, we're 2 weeks in, and yes, we've done amazing job, and we'll continue to do an amazing job. There's far more work still there for us to do. We are just getting started with FEMA, and hopefully tonight we're asking council to approve a contract with a consultant to help us move forward, because there's a lot of hoops that we have to jump through in regards to that. And then not only that, we don't stop there. There are people that still need assistance. There's still people that need some type of resource, and so we'll continue to work with those individuals. The more we learn about the needs of people and what we can do for those individuals. And then lastly, something we are really going to need to think about, and that is replacing that canopy that we lost. So you will see I put a report, it's a very long report on your desk or your dais there, just so that you kind of see where we are, what we've done in the last couple weeks, and those resources that are out there for people. So if anyone does contact you, not only is it on our website, but there's a good chunk of information in there that can be right at your fingertips as well. And please pass on, those concerns or those resources that people are looking for, pass them on to us so that we can help navigate through those. So just want to make sure not only to say thank you to everybody, and thank you for your support, as well as we worked many hours trying to move ahead here and keep moving forward. But just know that there is more that's coming your way that we're going to be asking your help for.
Real quick, Kim, because I know they estimated that Cedar Rapids lost 60% of its canopy. Are our numbers similar to that, or what have you seen?
Well, just our right away alone, I think that was about 26% just right away. We haven't looked at our parks or even our drainage, wooded areas. We haven't even got to count those yet.
Okay.
Okay, let's move right on. Number 6, consider resolution approving city staff recommendations for filling the city engineer position and setting a wage and benefits.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, we was going to introduce, oh, there you are. I think most of you have met John. I'm going to tell just a little bit of a story. I would say that John has had his eye on the city of Hiawatha for a little over a year. He has, actually John Bender and I at one point had visited with him just to see what was all going on, what's happening in Hiawatha. So it's kind of nice when someone has an eye on you and has an interest in your community. And I really believe after visiting with him a couple other times and all his great references that were nice to hear and get the feedback from, along with some of you who know John as well. And so I think John will be a great asset. And even though, we certainly know that he's got big shoes to fill over here, we will greatly miss John, John. We will miss this John as well. He has been a great asset. I think it's almost 9 years, almost. 8 years?
It's 8 years,
8 years.
which was only going to be 3 or 4.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
That trick of just 6 more months, ain't gonna work.
Exactly. I know it. So we will greatly miss John, but he has certainly agreed to stay on, help mentor John, and certainly be there as a consultant when we have a few more questions or things that we may not remember. So a lot of history comes with this gentleman right here, and we're going to be making some new history with this gentleman. So thank you so much.
You got any close friends at the DOT?
Oh, John? I don't know. I can give him some names.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Well, welcome aboard, John.
You're welcome.
Okay, roll call, please.
Dick Olson,
Aye.
Rob Archibald,
Aye.
Jerry Moinkle,
Aye.
Amy Wickendall,
Aye.
Steve Dodson.
Aye.
Number 7, consider recommendation approving the preliminary plat for Village Center Edition.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Rob Archibald,
Aye.
Jerry Moinkle,
Aye.
Amy Wickendall,
Aye.
Steve Dodson.
Aye.
Dick Olson.
Aye.
Number 8, consider resolution approving the final plat for Village Center First Edition.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Jerry Moinkle,
Aye.
Amy Wickendall,
Aye.
Steve Dodson,
Aye.
Dick Olson,
Aye.
Rob Archibald.
Aye. Number 9, consider resolution awarding contract for assistance in FEMA application and debris removal.
So moved. Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Does MSA have experience doing this type of thing?
Yes, they do. Actually, we visited with 3 different firms, and I would have to say that their gal, who currently is working on a project for Wisconsin, she just really could answer those questions so much faster. And I think too, it's new, and fresh for her. Just really appreciated her quick feedback and willingness to. Oh, that's something we can check into. So yeah, we feel comfortable about that.
I knew we had success with MSA in the past, so I didn't see that in the past.
Yeah. No, MSA has always been great to work for and work with, and I'm glad that we'll get the assistance we need to navigate through the recovery on this.
Okay. Did we do roll call?
Amy Wickendall,
Aye.
Steve Dodson,
Aye.
Dick Olson,
Aye.
Rob Archibald,
Aye.
Jerry Moinkle.
Aye.
Number 10, discussion possible action, Hiawatha mascot campaign. And who wants to lead that up? Amy?
Oh yeah, sure. Let's let's continue this. So I think based on discussion after the last work session and kind of looking at what we're looking for is definitely there was a lot of positive positivity surrounding looking at a public service campaign, working with local businesses, doing whatever is necessary to try to encourage wearing the use of masks. I know in terms of the possible mandate, one of the things that I think that came out of it was that at this time it's better for us to kind of all stay on message as a council and a city. Certainly, I know mixed messaging has been, kind of an undermining some of those things. So, in addition to not having the full ability to really enforce it, was the other thing too. So, so at this point, I think we're going to look at what we can do with the like a positive PR campaign, outreach campaign, identify the places where the city can help and increase the use of masks and kind of identify it from there and continue to monitor the situation as it develops here in Iowa and in Lynn County. So.
Kim, you got anything to add?
Yeah, the only thing I would like to add to that, just in the basic things that we have already done as far as educating people and putting that information in front of them through newsletters. We in fact sent out door-to-door flyers, those types of things. We can redo those things. I guess what I really need to know is what kind of dollars are you willing to put towards this. So you could put $5,000 towards this, and this will give us the things that we've already been doing, and just that we're putting more out there kind of thing. Or are you wanting to do those quick little videos? Are you wanting to pay for Facebook ads? Because some of the things you need to consider are that when we do we have 1,000 friends on our Facebook page. If we do an organic search, you get about 5%, which is only going to hit 50 people. So how deep are we going to want to do this, and what kind of dollars are you willing to put towards this? Is it $5,000? Is it $20,000? How serious are we in getting and doing a PR
I mean,
campaign?
I think we should definitely increase it from where we have been doing it, because I do know the thing that we do run into right now a little bit is a little bit of fatigue with all of this with COVID. I know that's fatigue and apathy is kind of one of the biggest things that we're dealing with now, and I do think if we do a little bit more PR in terms of video and advertising, I think that does a lot better to reach people as opposed to just, here's a flyer you can throw away.
Yep.
I don't know, and it depends, of course, how long this still continues to last, what the situation still continues to develop in Iowa. I mean, I think I would be comfortable with 10,000 starting out with, and then just at least we can kind of explore that and fine tune it as we move on without, having to throw in a whole bunch, rather than, and if we need to make changes and come back to the council later, at least because that way we can come back to the council and say, this is what we've done, this is the track record we've had, and kind of adapt from there. So I would say that would be where I would put it.
I think things are improving. Since we met last and we talked about this, I've been paying more attention to masks, and I was in Fairway recently because I needed food, and I only saw 2 young people without masks. Everybody was masked up, and that's a change. It wasn't quite that way before. The other thing in the news, seeing how I was #1, I think people sit up and take notice to that. And I'm not saying everybody will wake up to the fact, but I was offended, when I read that in the paper that I was #1, and
Absolutely.
you can't blame just universities. It's we're all in it. So, but I don't know. I think the tide is turning on use of masks.
And I hope that's the case, honestly. I know and to your point, I do see that there are a lot more people out, and especially with some of the major businesses that have required it to kind of come through their doors. I know another secondary part of this is trying to find out the businesses and other places that we have where we still may need to find out where we can kind of help with that. Because I know, sticking businesses and other things with unenforced mandates is a good way to make everybody unhappy. So I think that, if we can kind of outreach and provide the PPE and whatever else they need to do it, I think that's part of the campaign as well, in addition to, like I said, combating some of the general fatigue. I know it's an up and down battle, and no one knows where this is quite going to end. But I still think we still have to be vigilant, just because I know. The downside is when we did have the derecho, it seemed like COVID was temporarily forgotten in the back burner completely, and being able to focus on the one. So I think that's where this can still be effective, and making sure that, yes, just because it fades from the headlines for a week or 2 weeks, whatever comes our way, it's still out there, and we still are going to be, promoting that message until there's a vaccine, essentially.
No, I agree with you on derecho. I didn't wear a mask cutting trees and hauling brush, and actually forgot about the pandemic.
Yeah, it was easy to do when there was so much more pressing matters at that time. It was, you forget, and then when you come back, when things kind of slide back to normal, it's like, well, now we're some of the worst in the country. And you know, I know I watched the governor's press conference today, and I know she's definitely still feeling the heat, but still standing firm against her, use of masks, and which I think is regrettable, just because it's, like I said, that mixed messaging where it's just optional and you don't have to do it if you want to, I still think really creates this environment where you still have these localized outbreaks. So
Plus, we had an influx of hundreds, if not thousands, of workers from out of state,
Oh, yeah.
and with no way of testing them, for helping with the cleanup and stuff.
When you look at our stats, as a county, we're doing better than the rest of the state. I mean, our positivity rate in the last 14 days is 5.9. In the areas that are passing the mandate, Mount Vernon, Dubuque, Muscatine, Ames, Iowa City, Johnson County, those are all university and college towns, which have a completely different kind of backdrop than we do. I mean, if you look at Mount Vernon, they get an influx of 2,000 college students, 7% coming from out of the country, 21% coming from out of state. Completely different than the boat that we're in, and I think we just need to continue forward with the PR campaign.
yeah. And I mean, definitely. I mean, I think our numbers in Lynn County are encouraging. I hope they kind of keep trending in that direction. I know it's one of those things that ebb and flows. And Lynn County was a little bit much higher earlier in the pandemic, and I think we've done some things that help that. I know, unfortunately, with the college communities, that's we have three colleges major in Cedar Rapids with Mount Mercy and Co. and Kirkwood. So. Just because we're doing good today, definitely, I think we got to stay on top of it to make sure we don't slide down. So I think that this will help with that.
Is 10,000 announced to start the Metro Studios discussion? Have we gotten a kind of estimate from them on the video stuff?
I don't think that 10,000 is going to be enough if you're wanting to go to that level.
Yeah.
Then if it's not going to be enough to go to that level. Do you have an estimated dollar amount? I don't really.
I guess maybe if you're really serious about doing those kind of efforts, I think that we should start out with not to exceed 20,000, and if we can do the things we want to do for less, then we'll do those for less. But I just want to have, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. Then I think you need to have the funding to go with it.
So I'll make a motion for a PR campaign not to exceed 20,000.
Rob, before you make that motion, I'd like to just make a couple of comments. I think we really need to assess what our real need is in terms of the PR campaign. I spent a lot of time over the last week pulling all the various mandates from the various cities, and there is a common thread, and Rob addressed one of them. In almost every one of the cities, there is either a large university or a college. In addition to that, there's a fairly significant retail service sector. And that's really what this whole thing is about, getting businesses to comply, if you will. And if you look at the scope of our businesses, it is really small.
Absolutely.
I mean, almost infinitesimal compared to the cities that we're talking about that have the mandates.
Right.
So you start looking at 20 or 25,000 to go after such a small number of people. I really question the value of something like that.
Yeah.
So kind of counter that, saying that our PR campaign is not going to be just within the boundaries of our 7 square miles.
Yeah.
It's going to go a lot farther than that, whereas our mandate would be just boundaries. This is a way that we can help a farther area.
Yeah.
Who are we trying to support? Are we trying to support Marion and Cedar Rapids? And
I'm trying to support our community as a whole, so
Yeah.
Lynn County and everybody around us.
I agree with you on that, Rob. I think that, the whole thing, I think, is, especially us taking action, is to also inspire others to take action within their own jurisdiction. And I understand definitely what Dick is saying. That is part of this campaign, is to make sure that we do what we can to identify what businesses do need the assistance, and see what we can do to, both provide the PPE and whatever else to get, people to wear masks when they're there, because that is the main area, at least in Hiawatha, that, if we have a lot of people congregating, that's the most highest risk for spread. So I think it shows that, we're going to identify those areas, we're going to work with those businesses, we're going to do that, and we're also going to, still continue to, do what we can regionally to be a part of the solution. So.
I don't disagree with that. Certainly 25,000 or whatever that number is, that's not an insignificant number for us.
No, it sure is not.
It truly is not, particularly with some of the things that we've got coming up. And I think that before you put a number to something, at least this has been my experience over the years, you need to understand what you're trying to do. How many businesses are we trying to approach? What exactly are we trying to do? Mm-hmm. And once you determine that, then you can talk to somebody like Kurt and put a number to it. But to just throw out a number carte blanche, quite honestly, doesn't make any sense to me. There's some due diligence that has to be done before you spend that kind of money.
Right, right. So those are the things.
Because
Yeah.
we can produce the video, put it on social media, and then the more we spend, we can really drive what range are we shooting for.
Right, because
Well, I think that's fine.
we did kind of outline during the work session and then just through conversations that we've had about what are those things that we want to do. So,
The whole point is to develop a plan.
Yeah, yep.
And develop a
that.
plan
Yep,
first.
absolutely. But
And
what we
well,
need,
then you can put some numbers to it.
Dick, I agree with you
Yep.
about the money part, and, we do have to have that plan. And also, Rob, I also agree with you on the fact that not only it's our businesses, but we gotta remember, our population doubles in the daytime. So we got that population coming in that we'll be instructing and promoting the use of masks and the benefits of that. So then hopefully that would encourage them to go back to their homes, at the end of the
Right.
workday
yeah,
and
Yep.
spread the word. So
yeah.
I think it would be beneficial
Yeah.
in that.
Yeah.
I do fear that as schools come back in the next few weeks, September 21st, the bulk of students in the area will go back. And if we don't do a good job with masking up, with social distancing, with hand hygiene, it could become a workforce issue, which could significantly impact our city. Although we don't have a large retail district, we do have a large commercial, like Steve said, as well. If we don't help those people out by that PR campaign, it could impact their business and their ability to continue their business.
Right. And to echo what Rob's saying, I mean, the downside is every time with COVID, our main enemy is always time too. Time that we spend doing some of this thing is time for the virus to do. I do think, especially like he says, we caught a little bit of a break with the derecho with schools not coming back. I do think there is still a significant risk with the schools. And I mean, personally, I would rather, just because we're saying 20,000 doesn't mean we're spending 20,000. I mean, I know staff has always been very diligent about the money we spend, and we'll continue to brief the council, and I know I'll work with Kim on that to go ahead and, identify what our metrics are, what we're doing, what our outreach is, what we're spending on both advertising and PR, and to fill in more of those blanks as we continue. But I do think it's important that we start now and then, go from there rather than, kick the can down the road another 2 weeks.
No, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
But what's the starting point? The starting point in my mind is not throwing $25,000 at something. The starting point in my mind is to develop the plan. Decide what you want to do, and then put some numbers to it. Maybe 25,000 isn't enough for what we want to do. Maybe it's too much.
And I think
That's all I'm saying.
I think that I agree with you. $20,000 is a significant amount of money, no matter how you look at it. But if we don't approve an amount tonight and we wait for a plan to be made, we're looking 2 to 3 weeks down the road. When you look back from March 15th to March 30th, how significantly things changed. I don't want that to impact us with school starting September 21st. I think tonight, if we're serious about this, we need to take the action tonight to start the process.
Kim, how long will it take to put together a plan?
Well, I've already reached out to Metro Studios
Yeah, I
and
saw your email.
explained to him what I felt like I was hearing from everybody about what we wanted to do. he is working with his team right now. We're getting back together on Friday.
Okay.
So that, but what I can't, the difficult with not having, because of course, everything that we ask him to do is gonna have a dollar amount to it. So I wanna be able to know what kind of level do we have so that we can decide, okay, which one of these, out of 10 ideas, 5 of them, can we run with them? Without having those numbers, and without having those dollars, I'd certainly have to come back and then ask for that approval.
All good conversation, but I think the right thing to do is to start out with the 20 grand. And we have to look at it again, or at least it gets us started as soon as possible.
Yeah, and then, I mean, if we need be, I mean, we can always, we can still draft up the plan, we can still present it to Bill and see if, kind of go on that at least in the interim, while the council's not in session, and, we'll still have council input as we craft these things, so I think that there's still diligent oversight for use of the money. I don't think that we're going to be careless with it. So, I think we, like I said, we need to craft that. We'll craft the plan, but we do need to get started with it. And I think at least doing this with the 20,000 gets us the starting point and lets us move forward.
Rob has already started the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion and a second, and we had a lot of discussion. Roll call, please.
Jerry Moinkle,
Aye.
Amy Wickendall,
Aye.
Steve Dodson,
Aye.
Dick Olson,
Aye.
Rob Archibald.
Aye.
Okay, number 11, possible closed session for Iowa Code, Chapter 21.5, to discuss strategy with the council and matters of presenting a legal or
Litigation.
or where litigation is intimate, where the discussion would be likely to project or disregard the position of the government body in that allegation.
Make a motion, we go into closed session.
Roll call, please.
Amy Wickendall,
Aye.
Steve Dodson,
Aye.
Dick Olson,
Aye.
Rob Archibald,
Aye.
Jerry Moinkle.
Aye.
Okay, we'll be in closed session at 6:03.